Good evening, everyone. My name is Annie Conboy, and this is my Letter from the Light Side, streaming live on Facebook and also on my YouTube channel. I've just started and I'm already losing the thread. What a start! Well, in this broadcast, I'm hoping to bring you the communication from the higher beings who are helping us at the moment and who want to give us their messages of love and support. So it's not necessarily about individual messages, but I do hope that you can take something from what is channeled in tonight. And I have to start with, if I'm seeming a little bit, it's because this has been a week of not much sleep, nighttime waking ups, and particularly 3:26 and 3:27 of a morning. Ping, I'm awake. And I just wanted to explain, if you've been having restless nights, cat as well, if you've been having restless nights, if you've been kind of wondering why you're feeling exhausted, maybe feeling kind of not quite there, not quite together, we're in an interesting energy phase. It does happen from time to time that we are given the task of being the receivers of and senders of the energies that the non-physical beings put around us to try to help us and keep the energy light. So all human beings who are open intuitively will be having these disruptions. Not so much the dreams, more like the wide awake club. And one of the things Rafe, my guide, is always encouraging me to do is to try to pace myself. If I've had a series of energy downloads, trying to just pace myself and being easy on myself, taking the day a little bit slower, and if necessary, even having a laugh at him and say, but that's an old people thing, even maybe taking a nap during the day. Bit of a technique that a lot of mums learn with their little kids is when they're wide awake, you have to be wide awake, and they're wide awake a lot and then they sleep a lot, but not during the night. You have to learn to adjust your body to shorter blasts of sleep. I love having little 10-minute power naps. That makes a big difference. But I am a little bit zombified today because we've had a run of these nights this week. The energy that's been coming in is to hold the space in that sense, to try to deal with the massive amount of fear energy that's currently being generated and the massive amounts of despair, anger, sadness that are going on. I mean, we've seen the rise again. It feels very much as if we're back in the beginnings of a COVID type of energy. Lots of people anxious, lots of people fraught, lots of people not thinking that there might possibly be a solution, that there are peaceful ways that things can change. So really, an absence of hope. And I'm very aware, I'm wearing his colours. Archangel Ateliel's been with me today. He's here at the moment, reminding us when we get tired, when we get exhausted, one of the first things we do is stop being hopeful. And yet we've got to hold that feeling within us. We've got to keep sending our energy for the, to bring about a peaceful solution. It does work. It really does work. And I know that there are millions of people across the world recognizing we need to have a peaceful world. We need to work as a global community, and many, many, many millions of people sending out their energies, sending out the prayers and sending out the positive thoughts. But this is what this week's about. We're being given downloads of extra energy. We're being helped, positive energies coming in. So if you're a receiver and you kind of go, oh, Ateliel's encouraging you, the pulse comes through for about an hour. If you're a receiver and you find you've woken up, or you find you're too high vibration to sleep, put your feet on the floor. Imagine the energy flowing through you into the earth and out to where it needs to go. Sometimes when we don't do that, when we don't realize it's flowing through us, we kind of collect it, and we then get sort of a bit wired with it. The energy's stuck, it isn't being sent. So imagine yourself as part of a beautiful system where the energy is just flowing through you out into the world, and it's going to where it needs to go. These pulses of energy are going to continue for at least another 10 days. So get your mindset in, right, I'll let the energy go through me. I always they get me awake, wide awake, and then I get up and send the energy. But I also make sure that I go and have a drink of some sort to ground myself in, just to go with it, and then recognise that when I lie down again, I am resting, and I usually fall asleep then. So taking whatever steps you can to bring the energy in and let it go out without it getting stuck in you, that you then are so wide awake you can't go to sleep. And I don't think about going to sleep, I think about I'm just going to have a rest. That often works. I might put a little bit of noise on, sometimes it's the TV, and just let it wash over me. I'm not really listening, but I'm just lulling myself through music or TV or something. And all of this, the Telial's suggesting to help us to deal with the increased energy, because they know we need increased energy. As hope gets sucked out of the world, they're pumping it back in. All the guides, the inspirers, we're part of this, holding the space, trying to create this massive positive flow of energy that will help change the hearts and minds enough for there to be a really sensible discussion about, we have to stop and we have to start finding different ways to express our disagreement than through picking up weapons. We are learning that. We are having it, we've become, in a sense, complacent. We've let all the little wars rumble on, and nobody's really said, maybe we shouldn't do it that way. And now, of course, we're faced with something that's much closer to home, bigger wars, countries divided. And the hope is about helping those countries to unite. And the first thing to unite on is to say, this is not a sensible way of settling our disputes. This is not a good way to put people in harm's way. That everybody suffers. That's the thing we've got to start to learn, is everybody suffers. If we pick up the arms, if we pick up the knives and the guns and send in the tanks, everybody suffers. I know it's hard for world leaders to grasp that, because they take this kind of sense of, you've got to be powerful enough to hit everybody over the head with the biggest missile and the fastest gun and all the rest of it. There's a lot of money in the industry, so it's hard to sort of let that go and say, no, we've got to find a different way. But Atelial's encouraging us, we can be part of that by bringing in this beautiful energy, by sending the love, radiating the love, and maybe getting out of ourselves. So we've been having a chat, me and him. I was up last night having a chat with him. We've been having a bit of a chat. Well, what do I have to do? How is it going to make, sometimes what zaps you is you feel helpless. Events are happening and you feel helpless. And he said, but that's the fear taking charge, because you're never helpless. There are always things you can do. And I was like, oh, go on then. What can I do? And he was straight on it. And well, you can channel in the energy. You can hold the space. You can recognize that your internal niggles about other people and other situations, is there a point to them? Do you need to feel like that? And you can shift that. You will have been encountering lots of niggly, irritable people. Uh, People respond to fear by kind of kicking out at each other. And if you're not careful, you can get in this real cycle of talking fear and talking fear and talking fear without realizing all you're doing is bringing yourself down. Which is why I'm on a no news ban. Very little news. It's not no news. Very little news from sources I trust, and just shutting down, stepping away from all of the responses and the reactions to fear. And that's something that's inside. That's something I can handle in me. I can say, right, okay, is it in front of me in this moment? Am I at serious risk of my life and health and what? If I'm not, then why fear? Why fear what hasn't happened yet? What I also can do, because that keeps me in a calm frame of mind, is I can do the things that help me to be ready for the uncertainty, ready for the unexpected. I can call on the guides. I can help that energy to come in. I've been doing quite a bit of work in the night time, helping sending the energy for people who are taking their transition. So people who are dying because of wars, and I'm not just focused on Ukraine, there are wars going on in other places. And one of the things that has been something as part of my mediumship has been to send healing energy to people taking their transition. They're going into the afterlife. They need to release themselves from the energy of this life. We can send healing to people who are going into spirit or who already are there. We can always send them a flow of energy, remind them that they've been loved while they've been here, that however their passings happened, whatever way that they've ended up with a transition, that the people who are left here still connect with them, still think about them, still want them to be well. So when I was having this conversation and Etilia was saying you really must bring this forward on Thursday, is to remember that if I can bring a peaceful resolution in me, and if I can then be hopeful for me, then I can radiate that out, and I can work as a healer to heal to send the healing energy to those we often forget. We forget that people who are passing or have passed might need a bit of boost of energy, to boost them out of this life and into the afterlife, where they will get even deeper, more wonderful healing. So we can do all of these things. We don't need formal training. We don't need certificates. It's nice to have it. It's nice to get kind of understand how it works. But we don't need to do that. We can use our intuitive sense. I don't call it common sense, I call it intuitive sense. In our hearts, we know how to do these things. We have this wisdom. We've been round on this earth a long time, backwards and forwards, in life and out of life. And what Etilia wants you to realise is there is so much you can do to be able to be part of sustaining people in war zones, sustaining people, and not just in war zones, people who maybe have less than we have. There's a big thing for me at the minute playing out in all of this, in us recognising when we're well off. We don't kind of go, yeah, I'm really blessed here, I'm grateful for what I've got. We kind of go, well, I haven't got this, I haven't got that, well, what about this, what about that? And yet, well, we're fortunate, we've got so much. I love the idea of gratitude, of being grateful for what we've got, not focusing on what we've not got. And for all those grumpy people, maybe we can send them a little bit of energy just to help them to start to see that actually it's not as bad as it could be. Their life is not as restricted or as challenging or as difficult as it could be, and that maybe we are responsible for creating our own drama. We might actually be making our lives worse without realizing it, because we're not being grateful. We're not understanding what gratitude means. It means thinking, oh, I'm so blessed. I could have been like that, or this could have happened, or that could have happened. And reminding ourselves that when we are blessed, we can help to spread that gratitude. We can share the blessing. We can maybe donate a little bit to the Ukraine appeal, or we can perhaps donate if that's a bit far and a bit distant. What about the food banks? What about here in the UK, where we have a serious issue of poverty in what's supposed to be a wealthy nation? It really asks us to, tackle these things head on, to recognise it's not all about, oh, I'm spiritual. It's about, what do I do with it? How do I work with it? What can I take out into the world that's part of my spiritual path? I love, love, love random acts of kindness, just as something to somebody. And when you get one, it's like, oh, wow. I had some flowers this week. Somebody gave me some flowers, and they happened to be my favourite flowers. And it was a lovely little bunch, and it was beautiful just to get them, and it was unexpected. And it gave me such a lift. Even the random acts of kindness, those little gestures, they make a huge difference to the flow of positive energy. We're in a situation where we're learning that what matters the most is the flow of energy. It's what we can do for others. I am still gobsmacked and in awe, and I know Eteliel has reminded me of this again and again, of all of those workers, the NHS, or the transport workers, or the people who have pulled us through COVID and are still pulling us through COVID. All the people who decided to do something different, to help in some way, to go beyond themselves. I had a conversation with a lovely lady who has an immune compromised family member who works in the NHS, and she was describing the procedure she went through in order to protect the person she cares about. And it just struck me, how wonderful that act of kindness, to go out into exposing herself to potential risk, but to be so clear she wasn't wanting to expose her family to potential risk. It's those things that, for me, for Atelial, that's our human nature. That's our true being coming to the surface. Not the greed, not the need, not the I'm better than you-ness, not the hatefulness, the division. What is so strong in us is when we rise to those random acts of kindness. We are incredible. It creates such an incredible positive energy, and it takes very little. that's what he always sort of says. He's amazed it takes very little, and yet we can do it, pump like that, without thinking. We can spread the joy. We can love ourselves enough to spread that and share that. We can be grateful for what we've got enough to say, you know what, I don't need anything extra. What I've got extra, I'll maybe gift away a little. I'll let others have the benefit. It's so powerful. And this is where we are in recognising we need a new way of operating. We need a new operating system, he often says to me. We're long overdue. A system upgrade. I go, oh, he's got work for me again. But this is the thing. We are part of this recognition that we don't want to treat each other badly. We don't want to be angry and hateful. We don't want to be lashing out. Human beings don't. We really don't. And yet we let ourselves get shoved into that. So Eteliel's just asking you, take the energy downloads, take that hope into your heart, and act in the faith that the future is much, much better than the present, that we are continuing to evolve as human beings. We're continuing to find a way through, and we will find those creative ways. We will find the solutions that we need, the ways in which we can live happily and comfortably together. The leaders will emerge that we need. Unfortunately, we've had leaders emerge that we don't need, but now there's an opportunity, especially, and he's very, very, very clear, especially with these with the younger generation, the crystals, the ones who are under 25. They are going to see this, they're going to experience this, and they're going to reject this. They already do reject it. We have to start listening to those voices. We have to let those voices come forward. We have to listen to the kids because they've got it straight. They don't fight amongst each other. The littlest ones, they have no idea about colour and sexuality and gender and religion, and they have no idea. They just see another person in front of them, a person who they want to engage with, they're interested about. So if this week's been a bit of a week, please remember we're moving forward. We're moving the world forward. And if you can find the spirit within every single person, let those random acts of kindness perhaps be to the ones that are really, really irritable or angry or hateful. Just give them something from you in love. Even if it's a prayer or a thought or a healing, gift it away so that they can start to feel the difference when we're given, when we become the receivers of kindness and compassion and love. When we become that, it lifts us, it lifts the spirit, it gives us hope. And it's really important. Ateliel isn't full on tonight because he's busy. He's busy doing lots of energy everywhere. But it's really important in the coming week to keep that hope. Things are shifting. The energy's shifting. Our work is helping. But we've got some quite fixed personalities. So think about in your healing thoughts, in your prayers, in whatever way you can send the energy, just think about being love to those people who were perhaps in danger of saying are unlovable. Think about sending the hope to them as a random act of kindness so that they can get themselves out of the awkward or stuck positions they've got themselves into. I don't know how much it will shift somebody to send that positive energy, but I do know that it's worth trying. We are still going to have turbulence. The energy is still going to be coming in. The fear energy is still going to try and swamp us, being like under a blanket, and you might have days where you feel like, I just don't want to get out of bed. Be with it. Be true to who you are. That's another random act of kindness. Let your emotions be what they are, and then get on with life, because life is not stopping. It's not changing. life in a sense, you know, your own life is not changing. It's still a life to be lived. We have to do things as we normally would to help us to recognize that even though there are big fearful things happening and it is uncertain, there is still a reason to live your best life. This week, going forward, try to live your best life. That's what Etelial wants us to do. Not to think about the doom and gloom, but to remember the spring is here. The flowers are starting to come out. The sunshine's crept in, depending on which bit of the world you're in, because I know in the southern hemisphere they're going into winter. But try to find the kindness in you. I would also send out a plea. There are floods in Australia that are devastating people. I've been involved in flood devastation. It is awfully difficult to rise, to lift. This week going forward, would you hold those people and those communities in your thoughts? Would you hold the communities where there's division in your thoughts? Any of the natural disasters that are in your thoughts? We need to shift people's minds. We can do that along with holding the people who are affected in our thoughts and in our energies. A lot to face as a human race, a lot to face and a lot to fix. But all of it, Etelial says, is fixable. All of it can change. And all of it can change miraculously in the blink of an eye if we just realise the power we have as a community of intuitive people to change the energy, to make the space for the creative ideas to come forward, and for us to advance, for us to want to move forward, to change and be different. Holding that steady, that thought, it has to be different. We want it to be our best life. I hope that some of that makes sense and that it will help you in what we've been doing this last week and what we're going to be doing in the week coming forward. As I say, another 10 days of energy downloads to help things shift. We've been on the brink with things many times, but Etelial says how wonderful that the human race has never gone over the cliff. We've always drawn back and found another way, and we will find another way. We will find a way to live in harmony and peace and community. We haven't been looking hard enough. This is the time to start. Take care, everyone, and I'll be back with you next Thursday. Bye.